Hey, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to talk college football. And this week specifically, we're talking week week 12, isn't it? Of the college football season. It's Friday, so it's pick prediction day. Uh, we had ourselves a little hot streak earlier. We cooled off last week, went 2-4. This week, sorry to say, I only got 3 games. As far as ATS goes, I told you guys last week, I'm only going to be really talking ATS picks going forward. I'll give you a little quick rundown of my straight up picks. That's it. Excuse the mess in the back. With the boxes, I'm actually moving tomorrow morning. So that's one of the reasons why this episode is coming on kind of late. But I wanted to get something out there uh, before it gets too late and you guys got something for the games tomorrow. Anyways, if you look in the middle of your screen, you'll see the line changes, some significant ones, right? One that really catches your eye is Washington was a 1 point favorite, but all the money is pouring into Oregon State, who's now a 1 point favorite. Others are Kansas State, went from 8 to 10. That's pretty interesting. Um, I don't know why that is. Do they think Jason Bean, the quarterback for KU, isn't playing? From what I read, that they think he is going to play. So that's one of the reasons why I kept it as a straight up pick because I didn't really trust it for ATS. If Jason Bean doesn't play, though, definitely would lay the point. State. And then look at that. Texas went from 9 to 7.5. A lot of people, I guess, believing in Ames at night too. So Ames at night. Maybe they think it's a tough spot for the Longhorns. But anyways, let's get into these ATS picks. First up, Utah, Arizona. Utah is favored by 1. You guys, if you follow this channel, if you've been following my picks, you know that Arizona has made us money for several weeks, right? We took the break last week. We didn't do the game against Colorado. Didn't think it was a game worth mentioning on here. Stayed away from it. And Arizona doesn't cover. In fact, they trailed most of that game. And they were able to pull it out in the fourth quarter. But that's what happens, right? This is college kids. Remember, this college kids. Arizona's playing all these games, these bigger Pac-12 games, right? Sooner or later, you have to come down some, right? So they come down some, and it's against Colorado, but Colorado's not that strong, so they were able to pull out the win. I think now they're going to come right back up. So you're going to have Utah is once again going with Bryson Barnes at quarterback. Talked about him. Got that guy. He played well last week, but is against the Washington Huskies secondary, which we'll get into later. I don't think he's as good as his stats were in that game, and he's going to go against an Arizona pass defense that, as I've said all year, is underrated because they've been pretty much clamping on everybody. So they definitely can clamp on Bryson Barnes. I think they're going to make Utah one-dimensional and force him to run the ball. On the offensive side, I think everybody talks about Utah's defense, and Utah's defense is good, but they've been they got beat up on by Bo Nix. They got beat up on by Michael Penix. It's not like these guys are an absolute brick wall. Noah Fafita isn't in their class, but he's probably upper echelon. What would you say? Probably the third best quarterback, fourth best quarterback in the Pac-12. You can make that argument. Then you're going to have that balance with Jonah Coleman. Teams have shown that you can't run the ball against Utah. If you commit to it, you can't run the ball against them. Noah Fafita is going to make plays through the air. I think Arizona in this game as an underdog, but I like Arizona to win this game, and we'll see what the score is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't that close. How much more does Utah have to play for? Remember, they're like the 2-time Pac-12 champs. They're out of it now. Not to say they're the type of team that will quit, but how much more do they have in the tank as with everything they've endured this season? Injury. So I'll definitely go on Arizona, and at my ATS pick, I'm taking Arizona straight up in that game. UNC at Clemson. Clemson is favored by 7. I've talked about this before. North Carolina, the way they're playing, uh, they're asking to lose a game, right? They're just playing terribly right now defensively. Their defense has been horrible. They gave up 45 to a third string quarterback for Duke last week. The kid can't, he's not capable to put up 45 probably against anybody else. So I'm not gonna put a lot of weight into what he did. I'm putting more weight into what North Carolina allowed him to do. I think Clemson, they seem motivated ever since Dabo went off on that caller. I think you're going to see this is a game you're going to see Cade Klubnik really start to step forward. I think you're going to see the Clemson running game. Don't be surprised if the Clemson running game goes for at least 250 in this game. They should run all over the Tar Heels. But on the other side, don't think that UNC's offense is still cooking. Don't think Drake May, that's an NFL player. Tez Walker, that's an NFL player. Don't think these guys are not going to make plays against the Clemson secondary. Don't think Omarion Hampton in that North Carolina running game isn't going to get going. They are. I think this is going to be a hard-fought game by both sides. I think you're going to see a lot of points by both teams. I'm taking Clemson in this one straight up, but I think North Carolina is going to score a lot of points in this game and keep this close. I'm going to take UNC with the 7. This was 7.5. I didn't put it as a line change because it's not significant, but it was 7.5. I would have liked that half point with UNC. If you're interested in buying a half point, then that's up to you. But I'm gonna still take UNC with a +7. But I'm taking Clemson straight up in this game. And my third and final ATS game of the week is Washington at Oregon State. I kind of hinted at this last week when I picked Washington to beat Utah, but Utah to cover the 9. I was talking about how Washington is a team that doesn't look like a team that's going to go 12-0 with the way they've been playing. Now, I like how they bounced back against Utah. They did look better, but their secondary was still getting busted up. Bryson Barnes busting up your secondary, then you've got issues in your defensive backfield. And this is a game with Oregon State, man. DJU, nobody's talking about DJU. Nobody's going to talk about Oregon State because they're in Corvallis, and most people don't even know where that is. But he's having a good year. They got receivers that can cook. Dallas Bolden, Anthony Gould, these guys can cook. These guys got wheels. Don't be surprised if a couple bombs are caught in this game or if short slants are taken to the house in this game, because both those guys got wheels. They have 2 running backs in Fenwick and Martinez who can definitely run the ball against Washington. On the other side, Dylan Johnson should be able to run the ball against Oregon State, and Michael Penix is going to have success passing the ball. This is going to be a high-scoring game, I think. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think that the Corvallis crowd is probably going to be the difference in the game, and the fact that Washington is not going to be able to get stops when they need them. I think Oregon State, I've been kind of calling this and hinting at this for weeks now. I think Oregon State is going to be the team to knock off Washington. I think I've said it before, Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12 in my opinion, and I think Oregon should be the 4th spot over Florida State. I think this loss right here for Washington gets Oregon in the 5 seed and kind of sets them in prime position with the Pac-12 title game to potentially get into the 4th spot, seeing how the next few weeks play out. But I'm taking Oregon State to win that game. I agreed with the line change there from Washington, a 1-point favorite, to Oregon State being the 1-point favorite. I'm with that. I think Oregon State wins this game. High-scoring game. I think the over-under was like 62.5, something you guys might want to take a look at. In fact, I'm just going to confirm that with 63 now. So the over-under 63. I would probably really look hard at doing that over. On to these straight-up picks. Just going to run through them real quick. Louisville at Miami, and I think I didn't put this as an ATS pick because, quite honestly, even though you see Louisville favored by 1, why don't you just put it ATS pick if you think they're going to win? I'm not that confident that Louisville is going to win this game. I think Jack Plummer is inconsistent enough that he could have a bad game against a pretty good Miami defense. TVD is going to start for the Canes. He might throw some picks. That's why I took Louisville straight up in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami Georgia at Tennessee. I think Georgia's going to win this game. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than you think. I strongly consider taking Tennessee with a 10. I know Tennessee got embarrassed by Missouri. I think they're going to have a bounce back from that. Tennessee's got an elite running game. I know it got shut down by Missouri. That running game is much better than that. And Georgia, people don't really realize it because they're Georgia. Georgia has had some minor issues stopping the run this year, but nobody's really paying attention to that. Could find Tennessee having some success on the ground. Kansas State, 10-point favorite over Kansas. As I said, maybe they think Jason Bean's not going to start for KU. If he doesn't start, if they're going with a walk-on backup quarterback, the third stringer essentially, I would definitely take Kansas State and lay at 10. Kansas State's playing good football lately. But if he does start, I'd expect a dogfight in this one because the Jayhawks do have a well-balanced offense. I'm still taking the Wildcats, though. They're the better team. They're playing better right now. UCLA at USC. I'm taking the Trojans. You guys haven't heard. Chip Kelly, this could be his last game. Chip Kelly doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who his team, his players will rally behind him. I wouldn't be surprised if UCLA caved in. He tried to play some goofball nonsense last week and didn't say that he was starting the third-string quarterback, and then he said that the other two QBs were available in emergency. He plays a third stringer. He does poorly. He scored 7 points at home against Arizona State and lost. Embarrassing. When people try to play those kind of games, it tells me you're a scary coach. He's probably scared. So I'm taking USC to win straight up. If you want to take him to cover, I wouldn't knock you for it, though, because I wouldn't be surprised to see UCLA implode. NC State at Virginia Tech. This is actually a tough game to pick. NC State has a good defense that can shut down Virginia Tech's offense, but NC State has a poor offense, and they're going to Brennan Armstrong at quarterback. I thought Brennan Armstrong played pretty poorly early in the season. MJ Morris took his job. Now MJ Morris has decided to redshirt, and Brennan Armstrong is back as the starting quarterback. This guy, he doesn't ever hand the ball off on these read options. He pretty much he's like that street quarterback, you know, when you're playing street football who never passes the ball and who's always running it. That's Brennan Armstrong. That's not going to work. It doesn't work in college football. It hasn't worked for him at all this season. That's why he lost his job. And that's why I think you're going to see Virginia Tech win this game. Should be a close game, though. And then finally, Texas at Iowa State. Man, the money really poured into Iowa State. Texas lost Jonathan Brooks to a torn ACL. That's a huge loss. I hated hearing that because you guys heard me talk about Jonathan Brooks a lot this season. Great player. Hate to see his season end like that. I don't know if Texas is going to have a running game in this one. You know, you got a freshman, C.J. Baxter, they're talking up, but in reality, he's just a freshman, and he hasn't really done anything this season if you're actually looking at the tape. Iowa State has a good run defense. They could make Texas one-dimensional, and on the road in this night game, this might be a dogfight. I'm taking Texas, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a close game. So that pretty much wraps it up. Sorry, this week only got the 3 ATS picks. But remember, we're going Arizona covering or winning outright. UNC covering, taking the 7 points, and Oregon State covering. So that pretty much wraps up my video. If you like the content, if you like what we've done this season, please like, follow, subscribe, all of that. And you're going to see my YouTube handle here in a few seconds. Take care.